Hey everybody, I think I'm 1 minute late, so I'm so sorry about that. I had a little bit of a technical difficulty there with my fingers and the volume and everything, but hey, it's good to be back with you. So, with some of the responses about my announcement, hey Tanya, how you doing? Shelly, boy, we got some, all over the country. We got Nebraska, we got Texas. Um, but the topic today stirred a little bit of the chuckling. And what am I going to be talking about with the title, Do You Poop in Clean Water? And, it is a kind of a funny topic. And most of you know that I write topics to get attention. But it's a very serious topic as well because it was a couple of weeks ago that I was listening to our local radio station that is the talk radio. And Mandy Connell has a show in the afternoon, and she was talking about a gentleman that was having a very hard time acclimating here in the U.S. And she said, well, why? And he said, well, I'm from Africa, and we don't have clean water to drink, let alone clean water to poop in. And I just can't get used to this. And as I saw that, hey, Raul, long time no talk. So we got California here now, too. And Linda, hey, welcome. The question of, do we poop into clean water? It's such a, well, of course we do. What do you think we're all about? This is normal. And it's not about feeling shame or guilt about what we have in the United States and Canada and many of the countries around the world. But it really, for me, is about a question: what do we take for granted? What do we see in our lives every single day that we just assume that it's going to work? One of those things is electricity. Electricity, we go to the wall and we push a button and the light comes on. Go figure. Do you know that there are countries in the world where they actually turn the electricity off at 9 or 10 o'clock at night so there's enough electricity for the next day? So the things that we think about that we consume on a daily basis, what is it that we are grateful for? And I wanted to come to you with 3 suggestions today. And, the suggestions are, how can we embrace what we do have? How can we share what we have? And how can we really propel it so that we can include others so that quality of life, not just life, is enhanced by everyone infected? So the first suggestion is, what are you grateful for? Make a list. And this is for everything from maybe air conditioning, the automobiles that we drive. Just recently, we had somebody at the boot camp, and she was in my car, and she was from a country in Europe, a very industrialized country, and she was amazed at how many automobiles that we have. And we were talking about the different pricing, and just the ordinary run-of-the-mill car here in the U.S. Her comment was, well, someday I want to be rich like everyone here. And so things that we, again, take for granted on an everyday basis, it could even be police, the ability to have a conversation or a disagreement with someone. But please, just take the time and think about all of what we think is ordinary that other people around the world will think and does think is extraordinary. Something else, a story, my partner in Tony Robbins, the very first one that I did in Hawaii. She was from Europe. She was actually from Frankfurt, and she said, I just can't get over, I can go into a grocery store at midnight and virtually buy any type of fruit from around the world, and it's fresh. I go, you're from Germany, you're from Frankfurt. She goes, but it's not like that there. And so, again, just take some time and make a list of the things that you find ordinary, but that we take maybe for granted, that are extraordinary things that we have in our life right now. The second thing is going to sound a little weird, but you're kind of used to that from me. I'd like you to go out and make a ton of money by serving others. Now, that part you come to acknowledge from me. But it's go out and make a ton of money by serving others. It has always been said the number of dollars that we receive is directly proportional to the number of people that we serve and help. But what it does, it also gives us discretionary dollars. We get requests probably weekly about a cause or a family or something around the world that we would love to be able to support financially. But how many times have we said to ourselves, well, I would if I had the money. So let's go out and do that, because I truly believe that we live in a land of abundance. We live in the land of opportunity, and the ability to create wealth is easier today than it ever has been before, ever. Tanya Waring is on the call today, and she has manifesting mindset. If you don't know Tanya, reach out to her. It's really about being in a position of receiving. And if you don't know what that looks like or how to really do that, please reach out to me. Even if I'm not the solution, I'd love to be the conduit to the solution. Because the things that you have in your life, the things that you're good at, there are people waiting for you to serve them so that they can have a better life as well. So make a lot of money. And, as a financial planner in my old days, I'm a recovering financial planner. What was really funny to me is people said, I don't want to make a lot of money because I have to pay a lot of taxes. Well, that's not necessarily true either. But the idea here is we think we have to lose something to receive something. And in reality, that we're taking in that which we need, that which we want to provide for our families, and then we can release the rest of that to those that we want to impact and to touch. So make a lot of money. And then number 3 is go make a difference. Make a difference in somebody's life. And it may not be around money. It may be around having a lunch. Maybe it's about recognizing someone. It's the things that we take for granted most in particularly the U.S. is time. I've just lost 2 people that in the last week that were influencers in my life. And, the time is that asset that when we use it and invest it wisely, we can impact generations that we're not going to have the ability to even meet, see, but we can influence. I'd also like, I'm not going to take the time here. I saw a talk that I gave, a very brief one, a number of years ago. And I talked about influence because I was at a book signing for Greg Jameson that just came out with his book on influence. I'd like to challenge you to look up the word influence. It's an amazing definition because it comes from without. And it's actually, there's a mythology around it that is really inspiring. So when we make a difference, sometimes we don't think that we can make a difference in a grand scale. And it really reminds me about the story of the starfish, the little girl, and her grandfather. And the short story of the long story is they came across a number of starfish that had washed up on the beach. And there were so many of them the night before. But the little girl went and took one of them and put it back in the ocean. And she did it over and over and over again. And every time she did it, her grandfather felt this overwhelming, honey, you can't possibly make a difference. There's just too many. And her wisdom of a little girl, as she looked up at her grandpa, she said, well, it made a difference to that one. And that's my encouraging word for you. Let's make a difference one-to-one that has that catapulting effect, that we're going to be able to make a difference long-term into millions and millions of lives. And so, this is a little different talk because it's about entrepreneurship, but it's also about taking what we have as benefits and using them to the fullest to maximize for others as well. So I hope that was, interesting to you. When I heard that about do you poop in the clean water, it made me chuckle, but it also made me think. So with that, I will see you on the next Facebook Live. I'd love your comments, and reach out. If we're not connected on Facebook here, please reach out. I'd love to connect with you. And again, if you have any questions, even if I'm not the solution, and I know that a lot of times I'm not, I'd love to be the connection to the solution. So with that, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.